Oh, dang it. Am I there?
We're here. We're here. We're
Okay.
good. We can hear you. We can hear you. Oh,
Oh,
unbelievable.
can you?
Megan, why don't you start? Tyler is having some
Yeah.
huge technical difficulties. We should have sent him a different hotspot or something beforehand. But Megan, why don't
That's
you start? Why don't you just give just a little background of who you are and what you're doing with Young Life?
Well, I serve with Lewis Clark Young Life in our valley, and I'm just a volunteer leader right now. I have been for about 2 years now, stepped on, and I've been running social media for about a year almost now, I would say. And yeah, it's pretty much all I do, I feel like, is Young Life and work. I work as a nail tech. So, yeah, Young Life and working is just my whole life right now.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Megan. Sierra?
Yeah, so I've been with our area Young Life for, I mean, since I was a wildlife kid. So I've been through it all with Tyler, especially. But I stepped on as a volunteer leader right after I graduated high school, which was about a year and a half ago. And then in the winter, we had this like movement in our like positions, and Tyler's like, "Okay, you're a team lead now," and I was like, sick, I love this. And I just kind of came up to him and I was like, does that mean I get to control the Instagram? Because he was, and I knew he hated it. And so I was like, can I do this? And he was like, totally, like, have it. I don't want it anymore. So I was like, great. And so that's kind of how I came on to that. And then this last fall, I came on to student staff. So I've been on staff for about 6 months, and it's been great.
Awesome. Perfect. And Tyler is the area director of Lewis and Clark Valley. We'll see if he jumps back in. He just texted me and said he's going to a Starbucks next door. So
Great.
we'll see if he jumps in or not. But in the meantime, I'd love so Sierra, you kind of forced Tyler's hand a little bit, even though he was totally fine with taking over the Instagram account. Megan, what's kind of your story? How did you end up with the Instagram account?
Man, it kind of just came up in conversation during a meeting with Tyler and one of our other volunteers. And he was like, I just hate social media. And I'm like, honestly, it's not ideal looking right now. Like it's not, it's just it's just a bunch of like information. And
Mm.
there's not a whole lot going on it. And I was like, that's probably not the most efficient way to run our social media. And he's like, well, why don't you take it over? And I'm like, um, let me think about it. And so we had a meeting and I was like, I'll try it for like a month and if it's too much workload, like I gotta hand it off, but I haven't stopped. So it's just been fun to like see the change and like not only just engagement, but just with the kids seeing them like excited about what like our area as Young Life is posting um whenever they see it. It's kind of cool to see that switch of just information to like what's Young Life posting about today? So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to hear from both of you, just like what you were seeing, and we'll just you know crap on Tyler for a second, but what he was doing wrong, the things that he was
Great.
doing wrong, like what were you seeing? Because it's not really what he was doing wrong; it's just what wasn't really working. And
Right.
then, like, what do you feel like that thing is now that is working, and what does that mean?
Do you want to go first here or do you want me to?
I can go first.
Okay, you go
Like Megan
first.
was okay. Like Megan was saying, is he pretty much just had like information, no pictures really. There were sometimes pictures, but it was like one on an informational post, and he'd post once a week, just like, hey, this is what we're doing. And then when I took it over, he was just kind of like, you do whatever you want. And I was like, okay, this is new for me too. I mean, like, I'm only 20, so like I know I've been around social media my life. And so I'm like, okay, let's see where this like what works and what doesn't work. So a lot of it was trial and error, but right now what's working is Wednesday, the day before we have club, I post our information, but I also use a photo of club and to show that relationship to people within that informational post. So you're getting that information, but you're also getting that relationship. Hey, Tyler.
Hi, Tyler.
Hey.
I should have done this from the beginning.
Oh my gosh.
You're fine. You're totally fine. I just asked them what kind of like how they came into the social media realm in your area, and like what does Lewis and Clark Valley now look like uh, because they took it over. So Sierra was just singing. So go ahead, Sierra.
Okay. Yeah, so I do that and then I actually don't post anything on Thursday, the night that we do have club. Instead, I text to leaders and I'm like, "Hey, invite your kids. Make sure you send out those last invites if you haven't already. That way it's intentional." And then Friday, I post back on the page of just like, "Hey, this is a recap." And I usually do a recap reel because kids love seeing that, for one. And two, it also gets those new kids of like, "Hey, this is what we do and this is what it actually looks like." But I've also noticed that like with Instagram, that's mostly our parents. And a lot of middle schoolers don't have Instagram, but they have TikTok and Snapchat. So they love those on those platforms. But Instagram, the posts that get the most likes are the ones that are just pictures, like a carousel of pictures. And the parents love it. And I think because they can also kind of take those pictures and put them into their own camera roll. But yeah, that's what I've been doing.
That's awesome. And we'll put a pin a little bit because I want to talk specifically to you about wildlife because I think that's kind of a uniqueness that we haven't really talked a ton about on our Instagram page. But Megan, why don't you go kind of answer some of the same questions?
Yeah, social media on the Young Life page just looks like little snapshots of like, hey, there's club tonight. This is the theme. This is what we're doing. Time, place. This is like, let's go. Um, and very rarely was there pictures posted. Sometimes there was here and there, but like not a whole lot of that like community based. And what I've been trying to do is like making sure that I'm using social media not as like a marketing thing, but like as a way as it's intended to be like social and also using it as a form of contact work. And I say that by just not just giving info, but we're inviting kids, we're getting to know them on social media, and also showing kids through our posts of like our reels or even just the pictures, the snapshots that we post of like, these are what our Young Life kids are doing, this is what club looks like, and being very like interactional with them on social media or posting a poll of like, what are you looking forward to? Or are you going to be there? Just so that we can see that like interaction back and forth from Young Life page versus just here's the information, hope to see you there type of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's awesome. And Tyler, for you, what were the challenges and what was easy for you to be able to hand this part of the ministry off to Sierra and Megan?
Yeah. A couple of years ago, I was talking with an area director in Coeur d'Alene, and I was like, man, I just don't have time to give to social media, and everything I do literally is a template I have in Photoshop. Every week I'd put a new photo, or maybe even not, but just like update, hey, campaigners or big group campaigners tonight, club tonight. And I didn't have the time to be that much creative in it. And so I was talking with Carson Kramer through it, and he's like, I don't do social media. I hand that all off, and I was kind of bitter and jealous, not bitter, just jealous. And I'm like, man, someday, that would be nice. Because I was looking at our feed, and I'm like, it's not reaching a lot of people. It's something I can't give 100% to, or even 25% to. And so I was kind of at this loss of I just don't know what to do. And so I handed it off to a volunteer for a little while. She had kids and didn't have time for it, and so I took it back. And then Megan, who runs her own business, was like, "Hey, I actually do this for my job as well. Here's what I've been doing. Could I help you?" And I was like, well, yes, you can help me. And so I kind of just passed that off and trusted the Lord with like, all right, take it. I trust you. And within a couple of weeks, we just saw massive growth already. creativity within the post itself, kids engaging in the social media. Um, that hadn't been happening at all. It was just
Mm.
information. Um, and so, yeah, I think there was this like, I've always wanted this. I didn't have it at that time. And so I think it takes the right person who says, hey, I have a strength in this. Megan and Sierra both have a strength in doing this. And so that's what makes it easy for me to pass it off.
Have you run into any challenges that you guys have needed to talk through because of this?
I think the challenges that I've seen is like when parents or kids DM us and have information about camp, or, you know, hey, I need to get my kid's health form signed or for this camp thing, information that Megan might not have or Sierra might not have. I think that's been the biggest challenge. Also, Facebook spam messages at 1 a.m. blowing up is crazy. And
Yes.
I'm me filtering what's real and what's not. That's a challenge. Hey, we want your credit card information. And I'm like,
Don't
nah, I
answer
don't think
this.
so. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
yeah, yeah. That shouldn't be it. That should just be it.
Yeah,
Don't engage with that.
no, I don't. I try not to. But I would say like DMs is probably the biggest
Hmm.
challenge
Yeah.
that we have faced.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then communication to Megan has voiced this to me. Hey, having that communication plan of like, hey, we're doing this fundraiser. Where's the graphics that we need for that? Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, now I need to connect you with our admin who is doing those graphics so that Megan has that to post on social media, and then getting a timeline on when to post things. I think that's been a little bit of a challenge in the last couple months.
Yeah. And then Megan, for you, what have been some of the challenges sort of along the way? Like as you've grabbed onto this, as you've started to do it, doing it with your business, I'm sure has been very, very beneficial, for you just to kind of understand and know the platforms. But
Mhm.
what has come up that's maybe surprised you that's been tougher than you thought?
I would say when the times that I didn't fully understand what was happening or like clear directions, I was like, man, I'm just gonna make it up and hope it's okay. Um, so there's been a lot of communication with Tyler and our team lead of like, I need to make sure that I know all the information and really paying attention in our leader meetings that way that I know what's happening exactly so I can clearly communicate with our kids. And also just um already having an understanding of like what an algorithm is and how it works and what to post and what not to post does help, but also realizing and not being hard on myself that like the algorithm really isn't that important as long as we are like clearly communicating that we are being authentic with what we're doing and we are communicating with our kids what Young Life is and what we're doing. um yeah, I would say my biggest challenge was just making sure I had our information right and um, not taking too much time on the post that I'm making because I have communicated with Tyler. I'm like, man, I've spent 3 hours on this post, and he's like, why? And I'm like, well, I just want it to be right, or it's not quite right, or this little like clip right here isn't quite right. He's like, no one's gonna notice that. Just post it. And so not taking too much time and realizing we have templates and we have tools that we can use to our advantage with apps and stuff that we can be using and to just implement that instead of trying to be perfect at it, just going for it.
What apps do you use outside of Instagram?
I would say CapCut, Scroll, um, Canva, some Photoshop, but like that's that's about it. They're all very
Yeah.
useful, and then I do have like premium subscriptions to that, and I was paying for that and not telling like Tyler or Audrey what I was doing, and I was like, hey, actually, this is like $20 a month, and I'm not really fully wanting to do that. And he's like, well, let's get you some way of getting those premium subscriptions so that you can use it most efficiently. So
Awesome. Cool. So communication kind of for you is what I'm hearing. How about you, Sierra? What are some challenges that you have come up against? And maybe we'll kind of, if you don't lead into it, we'll lead into like specifically with wildlife, kind of what makes it more challenging or more exciting or whatever.
Yeah, I think going into it, I was like, okay, we're gonna get this show on the road. We're gonna get all these kids. And then I would be like at club, like, hey, we have an Instagram page, follow it. And they're like, I don't have Instagram. And I was like, that actually surprised me so much because with me already when I was in middle school, kind of growing up with social media being a big thing, that like a lot of kids had Snapchat, but I was like, I feel like Instagram's kind of more, and so I thought as I age, like that was just something that was going to become a new normal for middle schoolers nowadays. And I learned that it is the same. Like kids don't use Instagram really that much, or they're just not allowed to have it. And so I was like, okay, well, we have this Instagram page, but it's not targeting kids. And I want to target new kids and old kids and just all the kids. But I'm like, this Instagram page is directly for parents. And as I saw that as once maybe a disadvantage, I was like, no, that's such a good thing because in middle school and in wildlife, you have to have those good like relationships with those parents in order for those kids to continue to keep going. And so that's kind of how I've used our Instagram and Facebook page of just like, hey, this is what we're doing, this is who we are. These are your kids, they're having a blast. Let's keep this going. Versus like TikTok and Snapchat, those are where I'm like interacting with more so kids. And this is like, here, we have fun. This is the night that we're doing it, stuff like that.
Awesome. And on those platforms, what are you posting? What are you posting to Snapchat? What are you posting to TikTok that maybe is different than what you would post to Instagram or Facebook for parents?
Yeah, so I've actually been posting the same thing, but I've recently have thought about this, and I was saying earlier how like carousel posts work a lot better for parents, and so I have thought about trying out like, okay, let's do a carousel post for Instagram because parents love that, and Facebook, and then on TikTok and Snapchat, do a reel, and figure out what's working. I feel like I've kind of gotten a rhythm of what works, but I'm still testing out things. And so that's one of the things that I'm planning on testing out next.
Awesome. And then for both you and Megan, what are your guys' hopes that like success looks like in this piece of the ministry? Like, how do you guys know this is worth it or you're doing a good job? Or like, do you have metrics that you use? Like, what is it that you're going, yep, that was awesome. Or that didn't work. We need to try something different.
Hmm.
Can I
I
chime in
would,
too?
yeah, please,
Sure.
Tyler.
I think for I think actually for both Young Life and Wildlife, we every fall we try to do a collaborative event, and this year we had to adapt. It didn't. It was this big scavenger hunt that we've done for years, and then this year it didn't happen. So we're like, hey, we still want to do something. So we did this big bonfire, and I think that's kind of like where a lot of creativity started. Where it's like, hey, we're not informing people about club. We're not like there's nothing that is mentioning Young Life. It is the silly question of is a hot dog a sandwich? And we're going around interviewing kids and we're highlighting that on our social medias. I think that is when it like started to take off. I think for definitely for Young Life and for Wildlife because it you got to see the interactions and relationships with kids. I went to the high school that next week and I had a kid come up to me and be like, "You're with that Young Life crew, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, how do you know?" I wasn't wearing a hat or a shirt or anything else that I wear most days of the week. And I was like, how did you know? Oh, I saw this on Instagram. And so it is contact work. That's when we realize like this is a key and crucial aspect of a modern day contact work. Like you have
Yeah.
to do it while still going to the schools, but it's still contact work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was a huge pivotal moment with my vision with the social media for Young Life because it was like this silly video, but I had so many kids coming up like I loved that video, like kids that weren't even at Young Life or knew about Young Life that much were like, I was in that video and that was so cool. I saw it when I got home because I like busted out and I like posted it that night at like 11:30 p.m. And they're like, I saw it that night when I got home and I was scrolling in bed and that's so cool that I was like on there. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome. You should come to Young Life sometime. And like even if we don't have that success rate of like kids coming from a video, like we still have that we're contacting kids and we are building those connections in a different way than before.
It's great. Yeah, I asked that knowing that that's a really hard question to answer. And but here's what I loved that you didn't say was, well, this post got 100 likes and this one got 3 likes, right?
Yeah.
And not that that's nothing, right? That is something, but it's tough to know what that actually means. And I think in Young Life, if we're treating this as contact work, going to a volleyball game or going to the school lunch, like to know what success looks like there, like what metrics are we going to use? Like it's almost, I mean, it's a good question. It's one that we should talk about, but it's kind of an odd one because like, well, success is me showing up and praying beforehand that God shows up too. Yeah. I mean, it's like, and yeah, it's awesome if I get to invite a kid to come to club, but the odds of going to school one time and then having 15 kids show up to club is pretty small. But the odds of me growing in some kind of deeper relationship with kids or learning a kid's name and being able to pray for them, so it is challenging. Again, worthwhile conversation to have. But Megan, you even mentioned it a little bit. Maybe you can speak to it. But like the algorithm, maybe that you even use to your advantage with your business, isn't as big of a deal for this. Do you want to speak to that at all?
Yeah, I found even with my business, I was like, oh, this picture didn't get as many likes because I didn't post at the right time, or it's like it's a picture instead of a carousel or a reel, and they like it in a certain way, and I was just in my head about it, and so then I just stopped posting because I'm like, if I can't get the algorithm right, like what's the point? And that's not the point of it. It's just to get that out there, to post it. And if we're using this as a marketing thing, the algorithm is important. But if we're using it as contact work and we're using it to just clearly display authentically who we are as a value for Young Life, then we should just be posting to just post to get that stuff out there instead of focusing on, man, need to make a reel because I haven't made a reel in a while, and Instagram likes when you post a reel every once in a while. So just not focusing on the algorithm is so important to, yeah, just push that aside.
Awesome. Do any of you guys have any story or even just way that maybe you've watched this in real life kind of build community with a single kid or with a group of kids? Like, is there anything that you'd want to share on that end?
Well, recently, one of our well, he's a freshman now, so I had him as a wildlife kid last year, and he's in Young Life now, but he recently just got baptized, and so I was there, me and Megan were both there and gotten to witness it, which was super cool. And I took a video and I did like one of the Young Life, or not Young Life, but like one of the trends that were happening with it, and it kind of, me and Megan both like did the collaborator thing where it posts on both of our pages because I'm like, he's both of our kids, and Megan brought that to my attention, and I was like, that's really important. So we posted it, and then so many of the comments were just people from his wildlife fam to his Young Life fam of just being like, we're so proud of you, this is so cool that you chose to take this next step.
Hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, like I want to know the stories of that. So I'm glad that you shared it. Because when I was watching, it's like, oh, that's so awesome. And so many times as young life leaders, like we hope to be a part of that piece of their faith story, but sometimes we don't because we're just planting seeds. And so it's really awesome to be able to be a piece of it and share. That's awesome. Megan, Tyler, any story that comes to mind?
Well, so same kid. Uh, which I'll add to what Sierra said. She texted me, "Hey, is this okay for me to post on Instagram?" I'm like, Yes, absolutely. Because it is that fine line of like Young Life's mission statement is introducing adolescents to Jesus and helping them grow in their faith. A lot of these kids don't even understand the concept of baptism. Most don't. And so it's that fine line, but it's like, hey, we want to celebrate this kid and the steps that he's taken. So absolutely, let's do this. We still have to like maintain like keeping that mission statement true through social media. How can we use that as a tool to introduce kids to Jesus? And I actually think that is a great way to do it. But with the same kid a couple weeks ago, I kind of went behind Megan's back because I've given her all authority with Instagram, Facebook, social media, all of it. And I texted this kid, Corbin, and I was like, Corbin, how about you do an invite this week for Young Life? You make the reel, and then we'll post it. And he's like, bet, I'm doing it tonight. He didn't, and then we get to club, and he's like, hold this trash bag. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm holding this trash bag, and he goes, and now you're gonna put this trash bag over Johnny's head, and you're gonna kidnap him and run away. It's this funny thing. People are gonna love it. I'm like, so I am communicating the message that we kidnap kids at Young Life? And he goes, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And then luckily, like this fiasco of these dogs happened, and it totally interrupted it. And I'm like, I don't have the mind set to like have this conversation right now. But the kid was juiced about it. I don't know if he ever made that real, but I think it like that's been a story that like, hey, let's let kids start making invites so that they can share it to their page and invite their friends to be a part of that with us. I remember when I was in high school, us seniors took it as an invite, like, hey, we're gonna make our own shirts that says Young Life 729, and we're gonna wear them every Monday. This is kind of the modern day way of doing that. And so I'm like, I would love to give kids freedom to do that. I don't want to communicate to the community that we kidnap kids and bring them to Young Life. Yeah.
But there's probably a middle ground there in between those two things. But I have
Yeah.
I've thought often that a kid sharing a post that we post, it's like, what does that mean? And I just remember like an older staff guy asked me that one time. He's like, what, like, why does that mean anything at all? And I said, it's like them wearing a t-shirt to school, because they're putting out there, I am a part of this. Like, this is a part of my community. And why I can think, upon reflection, why I loved seeing that baptism, because I think I had the same kind of reaction of that, Sierra, that you were like, is this something that we post, right? Like this, like, what is this communicating? You know, it is that gray area, because we do want to know our audience, and language and all that stuff matters. But I think the difference is it was a kid who was involved, and this is as much theirs as it is yours, right? And so being able to share his faith story, you know, in a way that wasn't in your face, right? Like, wasn't, nobody's yelling, right? And it'd be different. Like, a leader gets baptized or a staff person gets baptized. You'd be like, well, like, who is this for? Right. You know, you kind of be like, I'm not really sure, but it does communicate kind of this, like, you know, in Young Life, sometimes we call it ministry strategy, right? Like, how can we do this with kids, you know, instead of just doing it for kids? And so that's great. That's a really, yeah, I did. I really liked that a lot. Be mindful, right? And talk about it and talk it through. But I just think it's really good. Um, Kind of to finish up, I'd love for the three of you just to take turns giving advice to others that might be listening or watching that are in your position, a volunteer, a part-time staff, and an area director, and kind of give advice to the other volunteers, part-time staff, and area directors sort of around this. And Megan, I'd love for you to start.
Okay. My advice would just be going into it, just not focusing on the numbers or like what kids are interacting, but really making sure that you are doing it for the right reasons. And if you don't feel like you're fully equipped to do it, make sure that you get that support from your team. And then also just not taking it so like hard if your post doesn't get the most engagement, because that was hard at first. But then really making sure that on your Young Life page and on your personal life page really reflect what Young Life is. And something that I've done for my personal account is also celebrating wins of kids on my personal one, and that way they're connected with me directly as well. And making sure I'm following kids as well, and making sure I'm engaging with their stuff, sliding up on their stories and saying, hey, this is awesome, great job, or I would love to hear more about this at club on Monday, and um, that is communicating to kids what it's like being a Young Life leader, but it's also communicating to my community and people outside of Young Life fully what I'm doing as a Young Life leader in our valley. Because I've seen even adults be like, "Man, like you're posting this kid, you're at his play, or you're at her choir concert or her soccer game. Like that's so cool. You're so involved with making sure that these kids feel seen and known." And that really helps like me to just like have the right mindset of with social media, that I'm also just displaying what we are as Young Life leaders on a volunteer level. Like this is what it looks like. So on my personal page, and then if you're running it for your area, just making sure that you're being authentic and showing authentically like what it looks like at your club and communicating that clearly. Um, Not giving any false like hope for people of what like your club is cooler than it is, but also not just being like, oh yeah, we just like hang out and play games, come hang out, because it's so much more than that. Like really communicating what your area looks like with Young Life.
Awesome. Thanks, Megan. That's awesome. Sierra?
Yeah, I would say for me, what I'm learning right now actually is like to try everything out. Like, don't be scared if you're like, well, I haven't done that before. Try it out anyways. That's the whole point while we're doing this. The algorithm is constantly changing. Social media in itself is constantly changing. What's worked before may not work again. And so just constantly try everything out, see what works, especially on the different platforms, because each people use it for different things. So try everything out. Don't be scared to try new things.
Awesome. Thanks, Sierra.
Hmm.
Tyler?
Yeah, I think for me as an area director, like I have felt stuck. You know, they use this analogy a lot with, staff in Young Life, is it feels like you're just juggling everything, or you're balancing all these plates or garden beds, however you want to look at it. It's just another one of those. And, we as a mission right now are focusing so much on mission community. And Lewis Clark Valley Young Life holds a set of values with our volunteers. And one of those we take very seriously is we all own and shape our area. And so, as an area director, my encouragement is if you're in a similar spot and you feel overwhelmed and social media is just not hitting it for you and you can't make it happen, like have the conversation with your area, have it with committee or volunteers, or maybe there's a teacher in a school that would love to take this on for you. Just put out the need there is like, I think that's one of the best things you can do. If I wouldn't have done that, actually, if Megan wouldn't have called me out of like, hey, your social media game sucks, like we wouldn't be in this spot, And same goes for Sierra. Like she was willing to take that on when she joined student staff of running wildlife. Like I gave her a menu of like, how much of this do you want to take on? And so have those open conversations, be curious, ask questions. That's my encouragement.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, guys. It's been just a joy to be with you. It's easy to even see and hear you kind of interact with each other, that you got a great team. Tyler, you got some awesome people running some things.
I
So
know.
you're
Yeah.
really, really lucky and blessed to have them. But guys, thanks really so much. And excited to just keep talking to you about this. Maybe we'll do this again in the future.